Do you know that you are actually being leveled up to a fifth dimension soul and you may not even know it? The whole world is, and it is quite disruptive and exciting. My name is Sonia Choquette. Welcome to my channel. I am an intuitive guide, a spiritual teacher, a channel, and have been for over 50 years. So this has been my life's work, and today we're talking about how you are actually being highly assisted in becoming a more conscious, empowered, creative being, even if you don't know it. If you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. Today I want to talk about how there is a massive influx of assistance to help us evolve into more empowered, intuitive, creative beings like now. So first of all, have you noticed any acceleration or awareness of numbers? 11, 11, 22, 22, 333, 10, 10. And that was not something that was ever even in your lands of what you cared about or ever noticed, say, even 3 months ago. Numbers are transmissions. The universe works with frequency. The universe works with patterns and vibration. And these numbers mirror those frequencies, those patterns, and those vibrations. They are not just information. They're not just postcards from the angels. These are actual transmissions that are mirroring you into frequencies that align with you. For example, if you do see 1111, it is a transmission to help you get more aligned. Head, heart, body, words, emotions, and also to remind you that everything is connected, that everything in the energy field is actually all one. So that's that transmission coming from your creator, coming from your guides. It's not coming out of nowhere. We have divine support coming at us big time. And so this is one of the ways in which you're seeing it. For example, I have a wonderful client who is a financial broker in New York who quit his job and is now traveling the world, going from country to country, doing marathons as the reason for going, and then staying a week or two longer because of just feeling really compelled all of a sudden to start following his intuition, get back into his body, hence the marathons. And he said, it's a soul calling. I feel like wherever I'm going, very, very consistently, that there is some sort of a past life or some part of me that I have to go to these different places, Japan or Australia or the UK or somewhere else in the world. Who knows? That's just where he's gotten so far. And he says, it's really different. I'm following all of a sudden a whole different set of input. Even talking to me for him is really different. But one of the things he shared with me last week was that he keeps getting the recurring number 14 in his travels. He said 3 hotels in a row, I was given a room on the 14th floor. And today, he said, I got the room 1414. Isn't that weird? And it's no, that's not weird. That is a direct transmission communication from your higher self and the universe bringing your attention to 2 things. Look at the numbers. 1, the self, to be aligned, to be connected to what really is true for you, not what you've been trained to do or what your family told you to do, society, but what your soul wants you to do, which is this traveling. And 4 is foundation. 4 is the number of foundation, of ground. So you need to build, and you're in the process with all these trips, building a new foundation, a new identity, a new way of seeing yourself. And you are being affirmed by the universe because I'm sure you're constantly questioning yourself, well, what the heck am I doing? I can't figure it out. So he laughed and he said, that really resonates for me, but you too might be getting a transmission. Are you seeing any recurring numbers? Are you noticing numbers for the first time ever? A lot of people say, I don't know what they mean. 2 things you can do. Classic numerology, you can just look up. The numbers reflect concepts. 1 is unity. 2 is as above, so below. What's within is without. Mirroring. 3 is creativity. So the number 4 is foundation. The other thing, 4 and 1 equal 5, change. So for him, that was a language. And I said, are you surprised as a banker, as a financier, you are actually somewhat familiar with numbers. It's speaking your language. So things make more sense than you realize. So that's one way in which the universe is trying to level you up, to see that things are more energetically obvious than we've been paying attention to. We're far more than the physical appearance of things. In fact, my teachers taught me that appearances are the least accurate, and that if we judge by appearances, we're only getting a very partial picture. And often people put a false front up. So what you're seeing first, not observing the whole picture, or not even being given it. So all the numbers that are coming through are teaching us to pay attention to energy, frequency, and vibration. Energy meaning we're all in an energetic field. Vibration, there's a personality to that field. There's a tone. There's high vibe, low vibe, tense vibe, relaxed vibe. And frequency is the elevation. It can be very dense and unconscious to very spiritually expanded. We are learning this. We are being encouraged by being kind of thrown in the pool of all these numbers coming at us. Now, that's one thing. The other thing to look for is, are you getting strong internal nudges or feelings or notions that are encouraging change? A lot of people are telling me they're getting strong feelings that they need to make changes, but they're fighting them. That's what we have to stop doing. For example, I have a client who said she came to him as an unusual client in that she said 6 months ago, I never gave any kind of spiritual awareness, let alone intuition. A second thought, it just wasn't in my reality. My reality is go to my job, watch TV, have some drinks on the weekend. I didn't think beyond the surface, but I was at a bookstore. And your book, Trust Your Vibes, fell literally on my head. I had to laugh because I've heard that a lot over the years. So when I looked at the book, I didn't even know what vibes were, but I had to buy the book. And since I bought the book, it's changed my whole awareness. I had to recognize, she said, that I actually had been receiving the vibes to change my job. She worked at a very large corporation in HR, and just not even in a very elevated spot. It was just a job, just an admin job. One that she didn't particularly care for, but in her mind, if you got a job, just keep it. Who cares if you like it or not? But she said, after I read your book, I had to admit that for months, at least 3 or 4 months, I had been kind of getting the nudge to change my job, that I was wasting my time, that I was on a dead end, that this was taking me nowhere, and then again, I was wasting my time. And then I needed to start using my creativity, and I could have a much better life. So after she read my book, she started for the first time to give her vibes, that inner guidance, some attention. She started looking around. And she found through a friend of a friend of a friend that there was a local gift shop in her town that was looking to expand online. And they had big ambitions, but they needed someone who was tech savvy and had some skill in this department. So she applied for the job and got it. And she said, it took me a minute to trust quitting my job. My job was a corporate job. It had vacation. It had insurance, but it also was something that told me was not solid. It wasn't solid. So she took the job. She let go. She took the job. 2 interesting things happened. First, she got the job and she liked it. It was working at home. It was being very relaxed. She loved the gifts. She loved the idea. They offered her the option to occasionally travel to go look for gifts, which was even a big perk for her to get out of her small town. But the longer she stayed, the more she and the woman who owned the gift shop got along. And so they started to brainstorm some real expansion. So this little job turned into a significant job. And she said, promise ultimate partnership. Huge, huge, huge shift. Quality of life, joy, creativity, interest, connection, purpose. But also, a few months after she quit her job, her company laid off about 12 people. And she would have been one of them with, a very short severance and no options for anything other than go out and try to find more of the same. So she said to me, I had to let you know that your book and our conversation changed my life, but it was a little thing that opened up a whole new avenue. So that's something to look for, the little nudges. And if you have one, I encourage you right now to write it down, because once you write it down, put it in the comments. Once you acknowledge it out loud, it will be very difficult to ignore. Then it has to be a conscious campaign. But speaking of conscious campaigns, maybe you are getting the nudge, but maybe you're consciously fighting it. And this is another, your angels and your guides, who you constantly ask for help from, are just exasperated saying, what are you doing? We're trying. We're nudging you daily. We're giving you the vibes daily. We're giving you the encouragement, and you fight us. I have a client that I spoke to yesterday who had been told 8 years ago to leave her marriage. It was all wrong. They were matched. It was a poor match. There was a lot of back and forth argument. She said he was physically abusive, which is intolerable. And she said, but I can't leave because he won't agree to my financial requests. 8 years trying to get this guy to be financially encouraging and take care of her so she didn't have to take a risk. Okay, I get it, but I said, I cannot believe that you've been sitting there for 8 years with no way forward, no guidance forward other than to fight with him. And she said, I have a PhD in research. I have a PhD in writing. I've been taking spiritual classes for years. I counsel my friends. I volunteer counsel students at the university, and they really say I help. And I said, can you imagine 8 years of committing to that, actually committing to that as your path forward? If you even committed to one class, where you would be 8 years later? But you have spent 8 years in a very toxic, very abusive, mutually toxic, abusive situation. So this is about fighting your guidance because you don't want to be uncomfortable. Now that is a dead end. Growth is uncomfortable, but it's not dangerous. Being trapped, for example, in her condition, in a loveless, toxic, violent scenario, that's far more uncomfortable. Guidance isn't going to give you the end ticket destination with the hotel paid for. Guidance is going to give you the next step. That's how it works, because your free will has to show up. It's a collaboration, and the more you say yes to the next step, then the next and the next and the next will reveal itself. That's how it works. That's how angels work with you. That's how your spirit guides work with you. It's not like they give you the answer and you just say, okay, great, I'll just do that. That isn't how it works. And that's just naive and irresponsible. All you have to do is just say yes, the little next step. Like the woman did. She got the book, knocked on her head, said, yes, I'm going to read it, said, yes, I'm going to listen, I'm going to acknowledge it. So the first yes could be just acknowledge what your guidance is, what that nudge, that notion, that persistent feeling is. Now, I do get a lot of people saying, well, how do I know? That, of course, how do I know? Well, you won't intellectually know, but you will if you start moving in that direction. If it's correct for you, doors will open. It doesn't mean you won't be uncomfortable or challenged, but it'll be infinitely better than being stuck. We're here to grow, not to be put on a satin pillow and carried to nirvana. I don't care how many people make vision boards. It doesn't work that way. It's the growth itself that is the reward. So if you have a nudge or you have some, at least acknowledge it. Don't fight yourself over it. And some people are really devoted, committed, addicted to misery. And you might be one of them. So I want you to check with this. I have a client who was given, she was named the beneficiary in a will with a good friend who had passed. And yet the family challenged her, and people that knew the woman that wrote the will challenged her, and she was terrified. Came to me and I said, your guidance says that this is exactly what your friend wanted you to have and that you're safe. You may have to go through the courts, you may have to be scrutinized, but you are going to prevail. Oh my God, daily emails, daily crisis. I'm going down. This is awful. They're trying to kill me. It was all up in her head. And she did win in court. The will stood the scrutiny of the courts. Do you think that would have given her relief? No. She's like, no, they're coming after me. They're going to contest the will. They're going to, and they're not. But you're addicted to being threatened. You don't know how to let yourself be helped. Your guides delivered you an extremely generous inheritance, extremely, and you won't receive it. You're still so used to drama and threat that you'd rather keep going. So I had to bow out of the situation because I said, I can't do this with you. It throws me out of congruency. So when you're ready to stop the drama and let yourself be supported, then you have the house, you have the bank account, you inherited everything. Now, do what you need to do to make it yours. So that is something I'm seeing more often than not, is that actual solutions are offered, but you won't let yourself have them. And your guides and angels are saying, well, what do you want? A Rolls Royce to pick you up and we do the cleanup after you? Doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. But if you will keep doing just the next step, you will become immediately surprised at how things fall into place. It's called synchronicity. Each small decision will open up to the next, and your intuition will get loud and clear. Now, the final thing I want to share today is that what really interrupts is distraction. Being pulled to the news, being pulled to the conversations of drama, being overwhelmed left, right, and center of what really is going on inside. We need quiet. We need to connect to sense this energetic nudge. It's not words in our head. It's a pull. It's a notion. It's an energy, a frequency, a vibration that absolutely is giving you direction, teeny step by step. But the more you follow the steps, the faster they go into the new life, into the higher dimensions where you are in the right job, you are with the right people, you are aligned so your health is better, your doors are opening, your prosperity is coming. That is the reward. But it's not going to come first and then you say yes. So that's my message for today. We are in a huge transformational shift. Your guides and angels are exhausting themselves to get you to cooperate, but they can't fight you. You have to get aligned and willing to be at least curious. So we'll start today by two things. Put in the comments what your inner self is suggesting for change. You don't have to agree, but at least acknowledge it. And then consider just doing the next step. See what happens. Come back and report. You will see what I mean very quickly. Your prayers are being answered. They're just not being answered in the complete package way you want them delivered. The guidance is being offered. And secondly, if you need more help, you need more instruction, you want more in-depth understanding, Read my book or listen to the audiobook of Ask Your Guides, because this will give you all the ways in which your higher self and your guides and your source and teachers are really working to make your life quite empowered, quite synchronistic, quite intuitively guided, aligned, successful, peaceful. So you're not part of the chaos of the world, and you're not experiencing living day by day under a threat. So thanks for tuning in. If you have come here for the first time, I ask you, please, or even if you've come before and haven't, give me a thumbs up. And more importantly, please subscribe. First of all, it will bring you assurance that you'll get more and more direction as I'm channeling all this information, how to become a very grounded fifth dimension, highly guided, intuitive, empowered being. But also, it'll help the channel. It'll help us as a community grow. You will be part of something meaningful. And even better, share it with someone that you can bring these ideas to, so you can work together in your life. If you don't have anyone to work together in your life, please look into, and you'll find it in the notes below, joining my Good Vibes Tribe, which is a community of people around the world where we're constantly helping each other intuitively get power, growth, creativity, community, companionship, and believe it or not, just a little bit of joy. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. All my love.